Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm. In this video, I very quickly wanted to show you a new operator called switch. Switch is a way for us to create a branching path, but it's a bit cleaner than the if-else statements we learned last week, meaning it handles more conditions better than an if-else statement does. So with an if-else statement, if we had, I don't know, 4 things that we could do with it, or 4 possible branches we wanted to add, we'd have to have an if, then an else if, then another else if, and then a else, right? And that's fine, but this operator I'm going to teach you is actually a little bit cleaner. So let's get into it. So in order to create a switch, I'm going to need to have some kind of data to put inside. So I'm going to create a, let's say, string variable. I'll call it user, and I'm going to put some data inside. I'm going to make it, I don't know, 1. The alphanumeric character 1. Now what I can do is I can create basically a menu, right? A switch. Think about a switch like an option or a menu of options, and then it picks one, and then it runs with that, right? So to create a switch, I start with the keyword switch. Yep, there we go. And then in the parentheses, I type the condition we're basing this switch on, or the variable that we're looking at to determine which way we go, right? So user. Now I have these open and close brackets here, and we're going to start putting something inside. Now switches operate on a model called each thing that you can do inside a switch. Every branch is called a case. Okay, we need at least one case in our switch, and we want to check to see if that case is something. So we're going to say case 1, meaning if the user has the data 1 inside of it, we're going to do something, right? So the colon, and then we're going to have some brackets, and we're going to say console.write line case 1. 1, just to indicate that case 1 was chosen. Now, if I were to run this code right now, it would throw an error. Let me show you what error it will throw. So right here it says on line 11, we have an error CS8070. Control cannot fall out of switch statement through final case label case 1. What all that means is essentially I haven't given my case the ability to break out of I haven't given my program the ability to break out of my case. Cases don't just automatically, you can't just automatically leave a case. You have to have this keyword at the bottom. Okay. Another thing that we're also missing is the last case in my switch always has to be default, meaning none of these cases have been met. So we have our default. So we're going to say default case. And we need a break out of that as well. So if, for example, this was 2 instead of 1, and we ran it, we would get default case, right? Let's put it back to 1 and make sure our case 1 is working. Case 1. So we can have as many cases as we'd like. We can do case 2, case 3, whatever we want, right? And we can just basically change what we're checking for. Oh, not 2, 3. So we can have as many cases, like I said before. We can also check multiple things, multiple input values against the same case. All we have to do is type in new case, case 1. So instead of checking for case 1, we check for case 1. And it still works, okay? So hopefully you can see how using a switch will allow us to put a menu on the screen that says, here are your options. 1 is this, 2 is this, 3 is this. And then we can build a switch that says case 1, we run a bunch of code. Case 2, we run a bunch of code. Case 3, we run a bunch of this code. If they choose something that doesn't make sense, we run this and say, hey, you need to pick something on the screen, right? So it's a very easy operator to use. It's very syntax heavy though. So if you, happen to, mess up on the syntax here, it's really easy to get it, for example, bracket confusion, if you look at all the brackets we're using here. So it's really important to keep yourself organized while you're building a switch. But if you keep yourself organized, if you pay attention to what you're doing and you really, think about the logic you're asking your program to go through in order to find the right place in your code, then you'll be totally fine. All right, in the next video, I am going to show off my final project that I built, my version of the text adventure game. I can't wait to show you what I came up with, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with as well. All right, peace.